want to switch focus to what the audience is dying to know about your view on this super cycle. We keep hearing that there is one, that it could be bigger than the industrialization of China in the 2000s because we have this huge amount of stimulus being poured into the system. Are you witnessing a super cycle there at the LME?
So certainly prices have undoubtedly increased. Let's look at copper. Copper has doubled. Now, about half of that increase was just clawing back the loss in the early days of the pandemic. But the other half of that increase is truly new growth. And you mentioned earlier, took copper beyond its historical high, its 2010 high, which itself had been driven by the Chinese urbanization and industrialization story. Look, I think if for it to be a super cycle, it needs to be more than just a stimulus-led recovery. I think what we are seeing now could be just a stimulus-led recovery as economies start spending, the Biden infrastructure plan, etc. But will it become a super cycle? That requires it to last for 10, 20 years and for demand to outstrip supply. And that, I think, is why the green revolution is so important. Because if we do see that through, in addition to being hugely important for the planet, obviously, that will put the market in a position where that need for copper, that need for cobalt, need for lithium, need for nickel does outstrip supply over a multi-year period. And then I could agree we're in the foothills of a super cycle.
Well, Matthew, you outlined the demand story there, from the stimulus to the greening of economies, the decarbonization push. But what about the supply side? Because Jefferies has been digging into the rationale, the motivation of companies to invest in copper mines at this point. They say, look, there are huge challenges. If you look at the taxes and the royalties in some of these major economies, Peru and Chile, there are challenges here. There's lots of nationalism that comes to the fore, and that even though we have a higher price, it's not high enough to encourage these mining companies to invest at this point. They're still going to prioritize balance sheet rationalization, which could mean a longer, stronger for longer type of story that's underappreciated by the market. What do you make of that supply side dynamic?
Yeah, I think we're certainly, it's in the nature of metals markets that you have a demand story that adjusts far quicker than the supply side, simply given the physical realities of building a mine, but also, like you say, the importance of permitting and of license to operate. And I think that makes a fascinating point, which is that if metals are going to be the driver of the green revolution, it's understandable that governments and civil society are also going to require that the conditions in which they're produced, the environmental conditions, the human rights conditions, are suitably appropriate, because it would be absolutely wrong for us to be sitting here saying metals are this incredible savior of the world if they are not themselves produced in an appropriate way. So you're absolutely right. Because of that, it is necessarily a long process to bring new supply to market, particularly if we want to make sure it's done in a sustainable way. And I think that does mean that the supply side is naturally slow to react.